This episode of Ask Jack D is one of the most enjoyable conversations we have had to date. We're joined by the lovely Kath Purkis, who was recently successful on Shark Tank, has raised several rounds of capital before that, has exited businesses, has built a successful online fashion store and subscription model business. Throughout this conversation, we talk about capital raising, we talk about mindset, we talk about online strategy, we talk about the importance of product, and ultimately the importance of making your consumer go wow.
28 and I'm trying to shape history, pulling from the sky for some strength to take with me, line up the stars, fly away quickly and push the world forward like a tidal wave hit me. I ride the wave swiftly, I fear no man, check my titles mate quickly, came from the sky with the light of day in me and grew my own wings so the pilot...
G'day guys, welcome to episode 207 of Ask Jack D. In this episode, I'm really happy to be joined by a good friend of mine and an entrepreneur I have a huge amount of respect for, Kath Purkis from her fashion box. Some of you may recognise Kath from a multitude of different things, but more recently actually being successful on seeking investment from Shark Tank. She's got an e-commerce destination and first fashion subscription service on her fashion box, which is an incredibly high growth company, and it's not her first. So she's a serial entrepreneur and a repeat offender. Kathy, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Hi guys, nice to meet everyone.
Talk to us about your recent adventure on Shark Tank. How was that?
That was full on. So I had to keep that secret for 7 months. So wow. I don't know about you, but I'm not so good at keeping secrets at all. Yeah. So I'm very distracted by the gorgeous puppy.
I just don't want Bear drinking your tea. But I'll get him before he does.
That's okay. That's all good.
Is he in shot, Jack? Is Bear in shot? Yeah.
Okay, here's my tea. No, I'm joking. It's okay. He's very good at cleaning the table.
Hey, that's disgusting, isn't it? Bear,
I hope you have some.
What are you doing, mate? You're just a weird kid. He's just a weird kid. Bring him over here. Put him in. Come here.
We're going to style you, Bear.
Yeah. You're
just going to get styled for the
How do you feel about fashion accessories, Bear? You like them? So it was full on, and you had to keep it secret for 7 months.
Yes.
That wouldn't be easy. Like even friends and family, or was there a little bit of leakage?
No, I didn't really tell anyone. I told about 3 or 4 people, and I was in Europe, obviously, for my 30th birthday because, life's short, you have to go on holidays, otherwise you die.
That's what humans do.
Yes, you need to holiday. And I got the call saying they wanted me to audition in Sydney, but I was away. So I auditioned via Skype wearing HFB. So I was wearing a hat and I was wearing a necklace, all HFB. And we did the audition via Skype, and they said, we did a quick audition, it was maybe 20 minutes. And I did my elevator pitch, which every entrepreneur should know off the back of their hand. And they loved me, and they kept nodding their head at somebody. And then I found out that was the business DD guy in the room. Then I had 5 minutes with Barry, and then he said, but look, I'm not going to grow you for 45 minutes. We'd love you on the show. Can you please come back to Sydney, and we'd love to film you. So 2 weeks later, I was back in Sydney, jet lagged from London, and we filmed it. I got there at 5 a.m, which for any young woman, actually being ready at 5 a.m. is, I can wake up at 5, but being ready is a bit of a feat.
Yep.
But we were there. We went on at about 9 a.m. So we were the first of the day. We're in the tank for 2 hours, and then we did a press shoot afterwards. So
you're in the tank for 2 hours?
2 hours,
what does that mean?
So we're actually pitching to the guys for 2 hours. So
Are you serious?
It flew so fast. Like you walk in, you strut in through the tank, you do your 3-minute elevator pitch, and then you get DD'd for 2 hours. And
in that same room?
In that same room, same studio. And filmed, the whole thing filmed. Yeah. And traditionally, they put on TV maybe, 8 minutes if you're lucky.
Yeah.
5 if you're not so entertaining. And so quite interesting. It's so different from what you watch on TV.
Totally. 2
to the real
hours
experience.
Is a long time. Well, it's actually not for a proper investment meeting. It's just interesting that's 2 hours of footage for 8 minutes.
It was. It was a big.
TV,
it was a big thing, and my whole life, it was the best feeling ever. It was so cool. I'll never forget that. And life's short, so you've always got to, if you have a weird opportunity like this, and you just got to go for it.
Yeah.
But you totally have to know your numbers going in there. You cannot go in there and not know your CPA or anything. You just need to know your business and your numbers, otherwise you're screwed.
Yeah.
And I just went in and I was myself, and they loved me, and I had fun with it. And Steve Baxter, who most of my investors were like, or whoever I did talk about it, they were like, just if you're going on, be really careful of Steve. You know, he's really into his numbers and he knows his businesses. And I was like, yeah, it's a good thing.
It's great.
You'd hope so.
Yeah.
And he was one of my favorites.
Yeah,
like he was just so awesome
Yeah.
and so authentic
Yeah.
and no bullshit. And I just thought he was absolutely awesome. Like he said, good on you, mate. Like, go Kath. I'm like, I love you, Steve. You're awesome. So yeah, I think just being yourself going in there is really important.
Totally.
Yeah.
And to give context for anybody that's not familiar with Kath's story, she's raised several rounds of capital pre-Shark Tank, has actually sold a business or businesses.
Yeah, my first business.
Sold her first business previously as well. And so, Shark Tank wasn't a one-off. This is something that Kath is obviously developed, not only a skill set in business and entrepreneurship, but also capital raising and exits, which are a core component of building, particularly any substantial size business.
It's very important. Like you need to know, you just need to know your business, and it takes time. Like when I started my first business when I was 21, I didn't, you just learn. You learn everything as you go. You fail a million times. You screw up. You have a GFC thrown in your face. You then pivot the business. You go to China. There's so many things you do as an entrepreneur that is just survival. Yeah. And I think when you meet a really good entrepreneur, they have that survival in their eyes. Like you can just tell, doesn't matter what will happen, they will be successful and end up on top. And for me, I don't know, like I've always had that mentality in me that, must be successful, must reach my goals. And I have goals that are like tier 1 goals, and I have tier 2 and tier 3. And both, professionally and personally, I always make sure I keep achieving them. And although I high five myself and I make sure I celebrate the little ones, I'm always thinking of the bigger picture. And it's so important. It's so important being an entrepreneur. You have to think like that. You can't think, oh yay, I got my goal and just going to keep doing what I do. You just get bored.
That's right.
You have to keep improving.
This episode might just be me interviewing Kath, because I could talk to her for a very... No. I'm actually being serious. It might just be me interviewing Kath.
No,
talk to us about, because we do have questions loaded and we probably will get to them, but I'm interested in talking to you first and foremost. From what you were just saying, my view is that a lot of people underestimate the difficulty and the challenge that comes with pursuing anything meaningful in life, but particularly a non-traditional path such as entrepreneurship. Talk to us about how challenge has been a part of your journey.
I think initially when I did decide I wanted to be an entrepreneur, everybody in my life said it was a pipe dream, and they would say, it's a pipe dream. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do it anyway.
And how old were you then?
I was 20. I was 20 then. And I was working for an Aussie designer in a very much Devil Wears Prada business. Yep. And it was horrible, but the label was incredible. And I was a sponge. I learned everything from his business and thought, well, if this guy can have a business and make money, I can do it. Didn't care about my age, and I just went for it. But, you just can't let the haters... There's always going to be haters, and haters going to hate. But you just have to... You just totally got to, back yourself and start a business. And you know what? Life's short, so you got to try.
So a question that I actually answered today that will appear on an episode somewhere else was how I was talking about, the question was, how do you sort of overcome the naysayers and that resistance and that lack of belief? How did you adopt that being, starting out in business at such a young age? I
think the idea, like I said before, my dream of the idea of success was so much bigger than these little people. And that's what made me think, I'm a bit corny. I see people like Richard Branson. I'm like, I want to be like Richard Branson. Yeah. Or I want to be, I aspire to be that successful or have that profile.
And you believe you can.
And I totally believe I can. And if you have that belief, it's corny, but if you do truly believe it, if you don't get there, you're going to fall a little bit below it. Yeah. But you'll still be up there. And these naysayers will still be down here.
That's right.
Pedaling through life. And
it never ceases to amaze me how so often people achieve either what they set out to do or just short of what they set out to do. But very, very rarely is it significantly short of what they set out to do.
Of course.
We were at the Melbourne book launch recently for Unwritten, and there was a guy there. Do you remember what sport he played, Rosie? It was I can't remember, but he was a professional. He was a professional athlete, and he said he was the 4th best in the world because 6 years earlier he made himself a goal that he was going to be in the top 4 in the world.
Amazing.
And so it was like, well, I'm going to be he said, I don't know why I just didn't make the goal to be the best in the world, because I made the goal to be the top 4 in the world. And so that's what I became. I should have made the goal to become the best in the world. And I've seen this with entrepreneurs and even sort of CEOs and COOs and all sorts of people within businesses as well. The person who sets out, and money is never my measure, but the person who sets out to build a $100 million company might, or they might build an $80 million company. The person who sets out to build a $5 million company probably will, but they won't build an $80 million company.
No.
And so it's funny that, because when you say corny, I nod to that because I think I am really corny as well. But then there's also an element of me goes, it's sad that we live in a culture where to dream big and to have that level of belief is considered corny.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
It is sad. I agree. It is. I think it's changing now. Like now, if you're an entrepreneur now, it is so much easier to have social acceptance.
To dream.
You know, for your friends to think it's okay that you're going to work on your startup in the weekend or between whatever else you're doing in your life. Like when I was younger, and I'm sure when you started as well, probably started around the same time, you know, if you didn't go out, it was like, where is she? Is she under a rock? Is she sad? Like, where is Kath? Do you not like us
anymore?
Are you too good for us now? That was quite common. And it was like, no, I'm just building my business. And, you know, in those first few years, that's what you do, you know, and you surround yourself with friends who just totally get it. Yeah. And then I'm sure we're in the same place now where, like, now I love my weekends and I can go with my partner and, you know, we'll go and we'll do the Bondi to Bronte or we'll just chill. And we're able to do that, but we've worked so hard to be in that position. That's right. So it takes time, but That's a really interesting thought. I hadn't actually thought of that because I started in business when I was 18, and it wasn't socially acceptable to not go out and work too much and not make money immediately. And it's an interesting thought that you raised, whether that is more socially acceptable today. I'm actually going to ask the audience that. For those of you that started business in the last 2 to 3 years, I suppose it would be hard for them to have a frame of reference as to what it was like 10 years ago, but did you face much social resistance from following your path, or were you cheered on and supported by those around you? In the comments below, answer that. If you're listening on podcast, jump over to Facebook and put it in the comments below. Let's ask some questions that we've got, because I know I've been looking at the questions that have been coming through for Kath and I, and there's a whole bunch of stuff around capital raising stuff. Let's do them quickly, and we'll sort of just continue having a chat throughout.
Yeah, sure. We've got one from Vicky Wilson from Facebook. She says, Kath and Jack, you've both successfully raised capital in the past. What would you say is the key to doing this?
Do you want to go first? You just drank your water.
The key to successfully raising capital... There's, capital raising is an art and a science and a sort of field in and of itself. So there's a lot to that question. However, if I was to summarize it, I would say that you need to become very good at making the future real, right? Which means substantiating whatever your vision is and substantiating whatever your strategy is. If your strategy is based on your opinion or your hope, that's not really an investable strategy. Whereas if you have a vision, you have a strategy, and it's underpinned by consumer insight, it's underpinned by perhaps your experience, you've got a whole bunch of mentors around you, you've had a dialogue with consumers, whatever data, research, insight you can pull together to substantiate what you're about to do is probable, then that de-risks it to a significant perspective. As an entrepreneur going to raise money, I think you fundamentally need to think of two things. You want to minimise risk, which is de-risking research. If the business is up and running, contracts, great people around you, experienced management. Often for entrepreneurs, the de-risking is the boring stuff. And the second thing is maximising future growth potential. So regardless of where you're at today, the investor doesn't really mind. They're coming in today because they want an uplift from where you are today. So it's not really about how much you've grown in the past, although how much you've grown in the past can be an indicator of future growth potential. It's more about how might this business grow in the future and to what degree. So if you think about those two levers at a macro level, those are the things I'll be thinking about.
Yeah, oh my God, it's like I'm in school. Look at you, you're like this. I'm like, oh God, what have I got to offer you now? No, I'm joking.
You have a lot to offer.
No, I'm joking. Well, mine isn't as structured as Jack, of course, But like the key first thing you need to do if you're raising money is be yourself. If you go into that meeting and you put on a front and you put on this illusion that you're some little, I don't even know what, but you just pretend you're this image of something, it won't work.
Pretend to be perfect or pretend the business is perfect.
Don't waste your time doing that.
Right.
Just be completely yourself, be raw, be open to the things you've screwed up. People love hearing you've made mistakes. They absolutely love hearing that you've made a mistake, you've learnt from it, you wasted some money here, never going to go there again. You know, if they hear that, they know that you're actually open to change and you're open to seeing that you're not perfect. Because no one wants to back someone that thinks they know everything, because we don't. We're too young anyway. Like, we are older, but we are still young. And you need to know your numbers as well. Any good investor, they'll want to know your basic numbers, and they'll want to know your revenue. They'll want to know your profits, and you just need to know your business inside and out. And don't even bother, if you do have a business already, make sure your books are in order. So make sure your zero accounting is all up to date, and just have it there, have it ready. So many people don't. Honestly, angel investors don't really want that, but if you've got that just available, it'll make your life so much easier. Have a good pitch deck as well. Don't have a 40-page pitch deck. It's just a waste of time. Keep it short and sweet, and just make sure you put your whole business into even a 20-page deck if that's what you want to do. But I think, having a deck, having your financial model, being yourself, having a good business, knowing your numbers, and if you have obviously a good business, you will raise money. It won't take 2 minutes, like it will take time, but it's like dating. You don't just go and meet one person and go, I'm going to marry you.
Get married, yeah.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
It often takes time, like any relationship, to see, which person's right for you and which investors are right for you. And for me, some of our investors I'd met previously. So I'd actually met them before, and I didn't ever see them as an investor. I just saw them as someone who got introduced to me. And it was only through meeting them a few times that I thought, they'd be an amazing investor for my business, and they liked me as well. And I thought, okay, they like where it's moving. And yeah, so that's what you have to do. You take your time with people, get to know them, and don't just get excited because someone wants to invest in you straight away. Like, often that's a bit strange. Like, if someone said, here, Kath, here's $100,000 after one coffee, I'd be a bit freaked out. I'd be like, what's the catch? Who are you? No, I don't.
Why didn't you just propose to me on the first date?
Yes, where is everything? Yeah, no, it's just weird.
Yeah,
So weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my little hot tips.
So that answer was highly structured, beautifully articulated, and you said about 19 different things.
No, I didn't.
I think you're doing fine.
Stop it. No.
Rosie, next question.
Okay, next question is, how do you get an investor to back a concept? This one comes from Lauren Bredmore.
So I've answered this several times in terms of go as far as you can before you raise money. What I love about Kath is she has the exact opposite view of that. So I'm going to let her answer this, and I won't even. You can find my answer in a different episode.
Okay. So sorry, Jack.
No, I love it. I actually love this view.
So when I launched HFB, I did a very sort of swift capital raise, and so when I came up with the idea, it was literally on a piece of paper. I scribbled down the metrics, like the RRP, the profit, the basic numbers. And I went and pitched to this guy, and I had no idea I was pitching. I didn't know what a pitch deck was. I didn't really know too much about the capital raising side of the business. Within about 30 minutes, Josh said he'd love to invest in my business. And I was like, this is amazing, yay. Okay, what's next? He asked me how much money I wanted to raise, and I wasn't sure. So I went back, I put together, I guess, looking back, a cringe-worthy pitch deck. But anyway, I just put together something. And then he took me out and met with various investors, and they became my angel investors. And people were really investing in this idea of this business that hadn't launched. There was no traction. It just didn't exist yet. I registered the domain name. I did have a business prior, so I had some experience in the industry. I had about 5-6 years experience. And based on that, they backed me, and they backed me as an entrepreneur. And I think if you can sell this dream and you can sell this idea and this concept before you even launch the business, it's far easier than when you're a year in, you're meant to have metrics, and then people can poke and prod at your business. I don't know if you've encountered that, but if someone just is mean, or they're an asshole, there's not like a good type investor. There are. There's actually quite a lot of those people. They'll pick and prod at your business, but they don't add any value. Yeah. And I just found when I was first raising money, it was just so much easier. You're selling the dream. You just want to get started, and they're really just backing you. They're not looking at the numbers, and they're backing that entrepreneur. So for me, I actually, that was like one of the best times of my life when I first started. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
I had no filter up because I'd never raised capital before. I wasn't scared, and I was just myself with these guys, and I went really well.
Very cool.
Yeah.
As you're actually explaining that, in my second business, it was the same thing. A company called Limitless when I was, I don't know, I would have been 20 or I would have been 20. Same thing, you know. So yeah, there was a couple of capital raisings there for me early on where it was going and having a dinner and literally over a bottle of red wine without consciously pitching, just chatting to somebody. And by the end of the first bottle, you know, you've got a check metaphorically, you know, not the physical check, but you've got you've got them going, well, how much would you need? And you go, oh, I don't know, maybe this. They go, well, how much do you want to give me? And so often, you know, what Kath said before we're rolling, because we were just sort of chatting about at what stages we've raised money and stuff, she said sometimes it's easier to raise money for a concept than it is an existing business, which is counterintuitive to pretty much everything that is spoken about around capital raising. But it's a beautiful thing because even in my experience, you know, reflecting as Kath is talking, was true for me earlier on as well.
I think it's timing as well. Like it's the right place, the right time, right guys, right group of people who might be follow-on investors, and just they sort of all co-invest together. So but yeah, I don't know. That's what I've just experienced anyway.
And there's obviously a lot less DD, right? DD being due diligence. Because when you've got a substantial, like there's like boxes, and today the boxes are all digital, but there's boxes of paperwork,
accounts,
contracts, spreadsheets with, you know, like we've got spreadsheets in our businesses that have like
financial models that take weeks to put together.
Well, financial models that have thousands of line items across like 8 different tabs, right? And so like just to go through that in a structured, like in a way, in a thorough manner, takes a day, you know, and that's just the financial modelling. So so in that sense, you know, when you've got a concept, maybe just crack a bottle of red and
just go and have dinner somewhere, a fancy
wine
restaurant,
helps.
a really expensive restaurant where you must have
good food, good wine,
somewhere the high rollers are hanging out. And just leave your pitch deck in all the cars or something in the car park. Just put it under the window. I made a joke the other day. I saw a beautiful Audi R8, and I made a joke to my COO. I said we should just leave a deck on the windscreen.
Because whoever buys that car should invest.
Absolutely, yeah. Like they've got. It's not like they wouldn't have the resources to. Right. They like the business. Yeah. But, and it was also a nice car, dream car. Yeah. But anyway, off topic.
That's the most counterintuitive capital raising strategy we've ever had on the show. Leave your pitch deck on the windscreen of Audis that are about to be sold.
An Audi R8, yeah.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, brand new.
Next question.
Okay, so the next question is, why did you choose a subscription-based ecom model over others? What opportunities and challenges has it presented for you, Kath?
Okay, so my previous business was in fashion e-commerce, and I'd seen how hard that is retargeting customers. You're always trying to retarget and acquire new customers constantly. And I liked the idea of that recurring revenue every month. So every month, you know, you've got 50 grand or 100 grand just hitting your bank account, rolling over, which is a good business. Yeah. I'm sure anyone would agree, obviously, as long as you keep growing that base. But for me, I saw this opportunity of combining subscription commerce, which is the recurring revenue, which is a very tricky business model. So many people have tried to crack subcom and failed. Not just in Australia, but all around the world. And the only ones that are sticky are the ones that have good product and the ones that have a good community behind them. And honestly, if you have good products, you have a good community behind you and something people absolutely love, you'll be able to grow a business. If you don't really care and you just put stuff in a random satchel or a random box, or people don't care. Like people don't care about your business.
Yeah, that's right. They care about how good is the product and how does it speak to me. Yeah. We were talking before we started rolling in terms of, and you were just walking me through what this is, and you did so in a beautifully kind of elegant way, and it speaks to the point you're making right now and the importance of product when it comes to a subscription online business.
Huge.
Walk us through how everything you've just said in principle relates to the practice of what goes on in here?
So like each month we'll actually manufacture our own accessories. So we see what's cool, what bloggers are wearing. We'll go, okay, she's wearing this cool choker at the moment. We'll go and make that choker in our factories in China. We'll bring it in, we'll pack it up in a beautiful, gorgeous box with beautiful beauty products, a mini magazine. It's like a magnet box inside, and we ship these babies out all around the world. Very different from just picking something tacky and throwing in an envelope and saying, see you later, I'm going to charge you some money every month. And yeah, when you look at how the other guys do it versus how we do it, it's a very different experience from a consumer level. Yeah. And yeah, I'm big on branding, I'm big on beautiful products. And that's why for me and, for my investors, we decided that we wanted to do a combination of fashion e-commerce with that same luxe feeling, that same Net-a-Porter inspired experience, but for fast fashion. So you can go buy a gorgeous blazer for say $60 or $70, and it comes with a magazine, tissue paper, beauty products, free gifts. Like it's like Christmas. Like it's incredible compared to some of the other sites where you might get it in a satchel with a card, like a postcard. Yeah. And it's from a Surrey Hills wholesaler and they've just changed the label. Like there's nothing exciting about it, and there's like 100 sites doing that shit. So it's all same, and there's no brand loyalty. Like why would one girl go and shop with you and then shop with you? Like they just shop everywhere. As well with our community, we really want women to stay with us and stick with us. And when they want to buy something online, they'll come to HFB. And if they want a treat for their mum, or they want a treat for their cousin or their girlfriends every month, they'll buy them a subscription, or they'll buy them a gift subscription for Christmas. And it's that gift that keeps giving. So it's really interesting. Like we've even had men subscribe their girlfriends and wives to HFB. Cool. You see a man coming through, like, is this a bit awkward or off? Yeah. But then you see the billing address is a woman. And you're like, okay, it's a woman. That's okay. Getting it. So yeah, it's really interesting. Yeah. Like it's been really fun. Yeah. Really good.
It's really important to notice how Kath talks about that product, right? Like, because what you have done is created an experience with your product. So it's not a product in an envelope that's from a Surrey Hills retailer. No. It's like the most beautiful thing she does. It's like Christmas, right? And so she's very intimately connected with and aware of the experience she's creating for her consumer. Steve Jobs said, we start with, whenever we're thinking of product, whenever we're thinking of product strategy, product development, we start with what do we want our consumers to feel? Do we want them to feel delight? Do we want them to feel joy? Do we want them to feel intrigue? Do we want them to feel curiosity? And then we work back from there, right? So it's about values, it's about emotion, it's about the experience you're creating, and then let that inform what goes in the box. So,
oh God, we've got this recorded. Yeah, you can show it to everyone. I'm like, that is so true. This episode
might go for an hour and a half.
This is like so true. I'm sitting here going, that is so true. This is right. This is exactly what I'm doing.
Exactly, that's right. It's very,
so good when
cool.
someone else says it, you're like, yes.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what I'm doing. It's more powerful, yes. Listening to myself.
Love it. Next question, Rosie.
So this is a question for you, Jack. So if you're not using a subscription model, what kind of strategies can you employ to get people to keep coming back to your business?
It's the same thing, right? It comes down to how well have you wowed your customer. And in every context, wowing a customer isn't necessarily providing a high-end product or service, right? Like there's a lot of online tech retailers, for instance, that compete on price, right? So to wow their audience, it's about, wow, I just saved $200 on that television. So that's the wow experience. So it starts with consumer, know who they are, and then, it's the Jobs thing. Start with the experience you want to create for them. What's going to wow them? Work back from there. Think backwards.
Next question. We're about to hit the 25-minute mark.
25?
Yeah.
All right, give us one more question for Kath and I.
Okay.
And we will use that as the last one.
Yay.
Okay. So this question is a bit different. Is it possible to achieve entrepreneur level success, results and money without being an entrepreneur? And he uses the example of a creative freelancer. This comes from Jared Campbell.
It's a really good question. Do you want to go first?
No. No, I mean, no, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't. You can't make that much profit from being... You can only do so much work during a day.
Yeah.
You would be a robot. And even if you're a robot and you didn't sleep and you work 24 hours and 24 hours, you wouldn't be able to make that much money. Yeah. I don't care if you're consulting to the Prime Minister. You just can't. You couldn't make that much money.
Yeah, and
Financially,
that's
anyway.
absolutely true. Yeah, if you're a freelancer and you're billing per hour,
There's no way.
there's no leverage in that model. However, what's the person's name? Jared. I think you need to reframe the question and make sure you're viewing it through your values, right? Now, if your values are make a lot of money, then you're going to need to find a more leveraged model that can make you however much money you want to make on an annual basis. However, don't necessarily buy into, like, why do you want to create entrepreneur results and wealth, right? Like, do you need an island? A lot of people don't, right? And so what might be more important, and I don't know, right? Jared, might be about the money. If it is, go start your own business, scale it, build it, try and grow it to $100 million, however big you want to build it. And yes, that's probably the only way you can do that. However, what's meaningful to you, right? What do you want to do? How do you want to spend your time? Are you wired to go out and try and create a substantial business? So make sure you're viewing the question and the criteria through your own values, not through this heightened romanticism and popularization of everyone should be an entrepreneur, because it's just not true.
No, it's not. And you know, like Jack said, if you want that lifestyle, you can have that lifestyle as a freelancer. But actually having a business, it's this fantasy. Everyone thinks that it's high flying and you're always,
fantasy.
you know, you're glamorous and you're always guest speaking. But for the time you go and do guest speaking at an event or a conference, you're going to be working like an extra 2 or 3 hours in bed next to your partner that night. And it happens. Like it's not watching a movie in bed. It's baby's next to me and we're both working on because he's got a business too. We're both working on our businesses until 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And that's not because we're getting paid extra money or anything. We do it. Like
that's right.
We're freaks.
Yeah.
But that's how we're wired. We just want to do it.
Exactly. And that's my concern. And that's some of the language and sort of value psychology that's coming through in the question is, if you just want the $100 million, but you don't want the journey, the work, the up at 2 a.m. on your laptop in bed working next to your partner who, if they don't own a business, will be sleeping.
Oh, they would be out or not even stay over. Good luck with that relationship.
Yeah.
Not
right?
exist.
If you just want the end result, you're not going to enjoy the journey long enough. So you're not going to enjoy the journey enough to sustain and to have longevity and to ultimately get there. So don't chase the wealth. Don't chase the materialistic stuff. Enjoy the journey. Make sure whatever you're doing is a reflection of who you are. And then whether it's I want to have a lifestyle and I want to work 8 hours a week while earning really good money, yes, you can do that. I want to be an executive or a manager within another business, do stuff that I love and make great money, yes, you can do that. Or do I want to be an entrepreneur and go out and try and make, you know, a significant amount of money, understanding the journey that's a part of that. But it's the work you've got to fall in love with.
Absolutely. And you've got to enjoy your life. And life is short. So
right.
It doesn't matter if you're in this business or your next business. You just have to enjoy each day. Very important.
Kath's coming back. Sometime in the future, Kath will be back on Ask Jack D.
For a live show.
Yes. Yeah, we
let's
should
do
get you
it.
on for a live
Do a
show.
live show.
Kath, what question do we want to ask these guys to answer in the comments below?
I would love to hear... Yeah, I'd love to hear what your dream business is. And if you want to mentor an investor, just give us your elevator pitch in text, like three sentences maybe. Elevator pitch and what are you doing? And then I'll comment on my advice and what I like or love or advice on each of them.
That is very cool. So we want the elevator pitch for your dream. If it's a business, give us an elevator pitch for your business. If it's not, give us an elevator pitch for what is the dream you hold for your life. That's a really good question.
Well, then we can span off from that. So then once you've articulated it, maybe you'll execute it, which would be good.
Yeah. And we'll follow you on that journey as well.
Yeah.
Kath, thank you so much for coming.
That's okay, my pleasure.
Appreciate
Awesome.
having you
Thanks,
on.
Jack.
Rosie,
Thank
well
you.
done. Thank you guys for tuning in. We look forward to speaking with you next time.
Thank you.
So what that means right now is my head's in the cloud with my feet tied down.